Well, guys, my first morning in Alabama, and I'm afraid I've killed a deer. She was right over there. She was over here. You come down the road and she jumped right out, got me. Or I guess I got her. Dang. I really wasn't going that fast and I was able to slow down a little bit, but she was completely broadside in the front of my vehicle. I didn't clip her or anything. It was a full-on hit. I'm gonna have to call Game and Fish when I can get some cell service. If I can get there. She got my car a little bit. My radiator is bent down here. The fan shroud in the back has popped off and is making some noise. I don't know how far I'm going to be able to drive. And I don't know where I'm going because I don't have any cell service. But my radiator's definitely bent. All that gave. She hit right up here, all that gave. You can see hair right there. Up in there with the bugs. Dang it. So it's a few minutes after 9. And I'm finally getting in the woods. I feel like I'm really behind the power curve, but trying to be bottle half full here. Baby snowflake there. She's running. She's not leaking. I just can't idle at a stoplight for very long because that the electric fan's disconnected. And keeping with the bottle half full, this time of morning's kind of when the hens can get separated from the toms. They go off and feed or nest, and then toms get lonely and start to gobble and strut on their own. So it's not a bad time to get out. So I've seen a few trucks in here. I've seen one leaving, but it is Thursday, so it's probably not as crowded as it will be on Saturday. So I'm going to get out here. The roads kind of end back here, and so I'm going to get in a spot where I can walk a good ways. See if that separates me from the crowd and maybe gets me into where the turkeys are. So I'm at the bottom of a big hill right here. And just a minute ago, a bird flew down from up there. I was thinking hawk or owl. It was a turkey. Came flying straight at me, turned up the creek, and landed over there. I didn't see a beard. The fan was spread out and it was kind of small. So I have to assume a hen. With the electric fan unhooked, baby snowflake is not liking this slow traveling in the hills. So I'm going to end up having to drive a little, get it to operating temperature and stop. Because after operating temperature, it's going to continue to climb when the coolant stops to circulate. So I guess I'll just use that as a reason to go a little bit, stop, get out and walk some. So after I parked, I walked around some, dropped off the ridge way down into a valley, beautiful valley, hardwoods, real open, really open, and quite noisy to walk through. So eventually I got up somewhere else, called some more, called. I haven't got any responses, so hunting wise it's been pretty uneventful. I saw the one hen flying, I've seen one poop, one set of footprints, one feather, and killed a deer. So it seems like baby snowflake does all right if we can keep cruising. When I drove over to this spot from where I had the hood open, generally about 15 miles an hour, and I was in 2-wheel drive instead of 4 low. When you're in 4 low, the transfer case on this is a 2.7 to 1, so your RPMs for each gear are up 2.7 times for the engine speed. So that means the engine's working harder and going slower, so you're not getting the airflow through. So I think that's why it started to overheat, because in 2-wheel drive I haven't had a problem yet. So the only gobble I've heard today, when I was sitting there trying to fix the fan, and a nice fella said, if you can find the plug, disconnect it, and you should be good. And pretty much I am good. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of waiting for sunset, waiting for the birds to go to roost, or maybe I can hear one roost, and then I've got a starting point for the morning. If not, then what I will do is go to this different area and just jump in there cold and see if maybe I can't hear one gobble from there, and go from there in the dark. So if I hear one up that way up the road, I'll leave that way. If I hear one that way, I'll leave that way. So barring any good events here, we'll sign off until tomorrow. I just heard him gobble again, straight out that way, kind of where I walked yesterday. But then I started finding some sign. There's a feather over here. There's another poop. This might be a roost area. I kept going toward those gobbles, and I went over a mile, but I never seemed to get closer. With these hills and valleys in here, I could hardly pinpoint his direction. It's also entirely likely I went 90 degrees to him and never got closer. So now I'll go back up into this area I haven't been yet. Maybe he's in the opposite direction somewhere and I can run into him. The dang ticks have got me. I got 3 right there. Looks like 1, 2, 3 down there. Dang it. Well, I ended up seeing one hen as soon as I got in there. A little bit later, another one. I definitely bumped the second one. After that, nothing. It was a little tighter in there than I thought it would be. But hens were in there.